Hi, my name is Alyssa and I like to watch movies. Today we are recapping and reviewing Weapons. Weapons is the second feature film from writer and director Zach Creggers, who you may remember from the 2022 movie Barbarian. And guys, what a spooky movie that was! We all remember where we were when that thing happened. Not going back. Terrifying. But these two movies couldn't be more different. Weapons follows the aftermath of a town after 17 children get up out of their beds at 2:17 a.m. in the morning and run out into the darkness, never to be seen again. The story is told through alternating viewpoints of a teacher, a parent, a cop, a small town criminal, and one kid who didn't run away that fateful night. And all the perspectives come together at the end to show us what's actually happening in this suburban town. Heavily inspired by the visual language of Prisoners, Creggers and his team built a somber suburbia in mourning to support a mystery that is far beyond normal. And to balance the existential dread hanging over this community, Creggers uses comedy to really bring some light into the darkness of this world. What's also helping is that the visual language of this movie, i.e. the camera movement, is really doing a lot of work here that really draws some empathy into what's happening on screen. And guys, I am willing to match this film's energy. Whether that is a car chase after a crazy situation has unfolded in front of us, or the anxiety of a really great scare and someone's flailing in bed because they're afraid. And I get it. Film is, after all, and say it with me, an empathy machine. And you know what? The team behind Weapons absolutely gets it. The beauty about Creggers is that he just gets it. He understands horror. He's a student of horror, as we would say. And because of his background in comedy, he knows how to build a really strong setup that leads to an amazing payoff that just shoots energy and life back into you. And this is a director that people are looking at now, which is really awesome. Barbarian kind of felt like that unicorn that kind of revitalized everyone's eagerness for something scary. And that second feature is always pretty hard. It's the third feature you have to watch out for, but that second feature really cements you as either an auteur or that unicorn. Everybody wants a piece of Creggers, including Jordan Peele's Monkey Paw. For those of you who may not know, when Weapons was out for option, which essentially is just studios looking at the script and deciding if they want to purchase it or not, the script entered a bidding war amongst the studios, and allegedly Jordan Peele's Monkey Paw lost the option. And Jordan Peele was allegedly pissed city and allegedly fired his entire management for that reason. And to be completely fair, if Peele crashed out, he had the right to crash out. Let's look at the stats, shall we? Barbarian was a $4.5 million feature that ended up making around $40 million at the box office. And that's pretty good. But Weapons was a $38 million film, budget, that ended up making $70 million globally in 3 days. Oh, so we're talking cinema. And with the heat of the summer blockbusters kind of cooling down a little bit, the audience still wants something to talk about, and talk about something they did. We got something strange, unique, and dare I say it, cinematically entertaining. But what exactly happened to those 17 children who got out of their beds at 2:17 a.m. and ran into the dark, never to be seen again? Let's talk about it. Also, my drink for the night is a dirty martini. Oh, everyone, ooh and ah, please. What makes it dirty? Olives. That's a martini. Had an era, a summer, 3 summers ago, where I just was drinking martinis. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? But this is where I tell you folks that there will be spoilers ahead. I know, I'm so sorry. This is part of the recapping. However, if you want to know my final thoughts and my final grade on this movie, you can jump all the way to the end, which I will leave down in the description for you. And if you are still here, have a drink. Also grab your water, stay hydrated please, and let's get into it. We open with the young girl setting the scene for us, telling us what happened that fateful night when 17 children got out of their beds at 2:17 a.m. and ran into the darkness, never to be seen again. All of these kids are from one classroom, and that is Miss Gandy's classroom, played by Julia Garner, last seen in Fantastic Four First Steps as the Silver Surfer. I herald his beginning, I herald your end, I herald 17 missing children. But one kid did not go missing, and that one child is Alex, and he is worse for the wear. After a month-long investigation, the trail runs cold. Unfortunately, the other students have to get an education mandated by the government. Remember the Department of Education? Miss her. And to help the traumatized grieving parents who are like, I wish my child was going to school. Instead, they are missing in the woods. Great. At the parent-teacher conference, all of the parents are being so calm and cool and collected. It's really normal. I'm joking. They immediately want to kill Miss Candy. They're like, witch! We are immediately in Justine's POV, and she is Spiral City. She's having a really hard time, and I would be too if I were in the middle of a witch hunt. Miss Candy has decided to cope by drinking copious amounts of alcohol. Yeah, her drink of choice is a vodka over ice cut with water. It's so bad. And now you know why I'm drinking a dirty martini, because I have standards. I'm not drinking vodka over ice for you folks. Gross. Unfortunately for Justine, she is being terrorized at her home. She lives alone. People are knocking on her door in the middle of the night, and she's like, what do you want from me? And they're like, open the door. She does. They just painted witch and cherry red paint on her car. Guys, what are we doing? The next day, Justine is put on some administration leave by the school's principal, Marcus, played by the beautiful Benedict Wong. She is put on leave for 2 reasons. 1, no parent really wants their kid to be around Justine after most of her class went missing. And again, I get it. Witch! And 2, she cares a little too much about these children. And when I say she cares a little bit too much, I mean she cares so much that she's crossing boundaries. Now I know what you're saying. She's a cool English teacher, guys. There's nothing wrong. Wrong. She is a teacher at an elementary school driving, I would say, people under the age of 10 back to their houses and not telling their parents. And guys, that is a boundary that no one should ever cross. Please don't do that. Instead, just stay with the children. Just stay with them next time. Don't drive them home, because if you move a kid to a second location, it kind of gives people the ick and it makes them feel like you're kidnapping them. And we're not trying to do that. Justine is like, totally, I get it. And then she does get roaring drunk and ends up sleeping with an ex, I would say, who does have a wife. So we're making great choices, guys. The next day, Justine is like, wow, it's such a beautiful day to follow Alex around and see what he's doing, because I miss him. I miss him so much. Justine ends up following Alex all the way to his home, and she gets out to try to talk to him, and she's like, hey, buddy, how's it going? And Alex is like, do not talk to me, please. Get out of here. Justine's hurt by this. She's like, what do you mean, get out of here? And Alex is like, there's the door, bitch. Justine is like, okay, well, I'm just going to talk to your parents because, you're crazy. But when she knocks on the door, no one answers. Okay, what's going on here? She then is looking around and notices that all of the windows are covered with newspaper, and she's like, suspicious. She's able to look through a crack in the newspaper and sees that Alex's parents are just sitting on the couch in a catatonic state. Now, what the heck is going on here? Let's mull this over with a nice glass of vodka on ice. A classic. But that night, Justine wakes up to hear some creaking and groaning from the living room. Not the sound you want to hear in the middle of the night. She does what I would do and just goes, what if I lay down and pretend that the sounds do not exist? But when she lays down and looks up, there is a creepy clown on the ceiling. Folks, let me tell you, this is the scare that sent me into jazz hands. When the scene happened, I said, no. What are jazz hands gonna do? Hoping to bring some more clarity to the situation, Justine decides that it's time to stake out Alex's house. Remember those boundaries we were talking about earlier? With her trusty cup of vodka over ice, Justine is ready to get some answers. Too bad she falls asleep on the job. The problem is that she is so conked out that she doesn't realize that the door to Alex's house opens and his mother just stumbles out with a pair of gardening shears. Alex's mom approaches Justine's car and Justine is not waking up. Justine, I need you to get up. I need you to do something. And to make matters worse, Alex's mom just stands there for a minute and she's like, interesting. And then she walks out of frame and then we hear the trunk of the car open. Not this. Alex's mom crawls into the car and brings the shears up to Justine's face and then cuts some of her hair off. Next vignette, we are with one of the dads of the missing children, Archer, played by Josh Brolin. This role was originally supposed to be played by Pedro Pascal, but again, like I said earlier, scheduling conflicts led to him having to drop out, and Josh Brolin did take his place, and guys, I think Pedro would have rocked this role. He's kind of been letting me down this summer, but I think Pedro would have been good, but Josh Brolin, oh, you'd love to see a young childhood heartthrob thriving in his older years. Ooh, believe it or not, Archer is not grieving well. He is sleeping in his kid's bed. He is neglecting his wife that we will never see again. He is rewatching the Ring footage of his child running into the darkness. And he is messing up orders at work. He is ordering cherry red paint for the front door instead of the olive green like the homeowners wanted. You're making mistakes, man. You gotta pull yourself together. On his way to go and exchange the paint, Archer decides to make a little pit stop at the police station to see if there's any more leads about the missing children, i.e. his son. But the problem is that these answers just don't exist. What do you do? Well, Archer is like, I need some answers. Let me go yell at a woman in public. What's next? You're gonna take the cherry red paint in the back of your truck and then write witch on Justine's car? Oh, that's what he does? That night, Archer decides to, again, sleep in a child's bed because what? He is not grieving well. And he's having a dream that he sees his son running off into the darkness and is like, I'm gonna chase after him. As he's running into this imaginary house in some random part of suburbia, he looks up to see a hovering Dream AK-47 with 217 digitally showing on the gun before it fades into the distance, symbolizing the #1 way that kids die in America. Isn't that tragic? In the house, Archer does find his son laying in some random bed and is like, I'm so sorry that I never told you I love you, but you need to wake up. Come on, say something to me. I need closure, goddammit. And unfortunately, that closure does come in the form of another clown. No. The shock of seeing the clown wakes Archer up, and he says the most relatable line of any horror movie jump scare that we could ever get. The next day, Archer decides to do the math. He's looking at the Ring camera footage of his son running off into the woods and is like, well, line from here all the way there leads to this area of suburbia, and getting some other footage from another neighbor, i.e. just along. Archer's able to see that both kids eventually did cross paths at some point, but he just kind of doesn't know where that is yet. While driving home, he spots Justine at the gas station because she still has witch across her car, and he's like, what if I yelled at a woman in public? Yeah, but Justine is not worried about this unhinged behavior. No. She's too focused on the man running at her with blood all over her face, and she's like, what the heck is going on here? Well, maybe we should go to Marcus's point of view. In his point of view, we actually see that he deeply cares about both Alex's and Justine's, mental well-being, and shows actual genuine concern when Justine does call and she's like, hey, maybe you should do a check-in with his parents just to make sure everything's okay. But do you know who shows up to that principal-teacher meeting? Not the parents. No. Alex's Aunt Gladys. Now, who is this? I'm so glad you asked. She is an eccentric woman with clown-like makeup and the cuntiest micro-bangs you have ever seen on this side of the West. Marcus is like, hey, love that you're showing up. A+ for being a great aunt. But I do need to talk to the legal guardians of Alex. Gladys is like, and what if you didn't? And Marcus is like, great question. I'll call CPS. Gladys does not love this. She's like, oh, no. The next day, Gladys shows up at Marcus's house during the hot dog hour he was having with his husband. How dare you interrupt glizzy time?
7 hot dogs?
7, yeah.
A day.
Is that high?
It's a little high.
She comes in asking for a glass of water. A bowl of water. Interesting. And then she pulls out a stick from her bag that has ribbons from Marcus's office wrapped around it. And they're like, what's going on there? Gladys is like, oh, just a little hobby I have. Oh, Marcus's husband, can you come here real quick? And then she snips off a little bit of his hair and also wraps it around the stick. Okay, so the plot is thickening. And then she cuts herself and Marcus immediately goes into a trance. Not a good sign. And then she breaks the stick and Marcus attacks his husband. Oh, you hate to see it. And when I mean attack, I mean he is headbutting his husband over and over again. And it is the saddest thing I think I've seen in cinema all year. Like, it's really upsetting. Pour one out for this sweet man. He was really just trying to be a guy. He was trying to be a guy being a dude. Now, you're probably wondering what is going on with this bowl of water. I am so glad you asked. To end the spell or the trance, Gladys drops the broken sticks into the water and the brutality ends. But Marcus is still under a trance. I wonder why. Gladys picks up one of the sticks and then pulls out some of Justine's hair from the bag. Remember when she got her hair chopped off? Yeah. The plot is a thickening. She wraps Justine's hair around the stick and then snaps the stick again, and Marcus is out of the door like a heat-seeking missile, like a heat-seeking weapon. Oh, title drop, take a sip. We follow Marcus through the streets until he locks onto Justine, and Justine is like, Marcus? And then he tackles her to the ground. Now you see where we are in the story. I'm so glad he caught up. He chases her around, but Archer is really doing his best and body slams Marcus into glass constantly. All of this is enough for Justine to get in her car and drive the heck away. But Marcus is hot on her trail. He is running after her, and Archer is like, oh no, brother, not on my watch. Gets in his truck and is following Marcus. Unfortunately, Marcus does get hit by a car while crossing an intersection. Pour one out for that man. At the hospital, Justine thanks Archer for kind of just being a decent human being and like helping her get away from probably being murdered by Marcus. And Archer is like, it was the right thing to do. Guys, sound the alarms. We're getting character growth. But Justine's caring is enough for Archer to go, maybe friend? Because of their newfound friendship, Archer immediately shows Justine his map, and he's like, I just can't get the last piece of the puzzle together. And Justine's like, oh, it all leads to Alex's house. Justine and Archer drive over to Alex's house, and guys, things are looking dicey. In 2 vignettes earlier, we are with Paul, the married cop that Justine slept with. Remember him? He arrested this guy who is unhoused and having a time because he's also having a substance abuse problem and needs money. He needs money. He needs fast cash now. Called J.G. Wentworth. He ended up arresting an unhoused man who broke into Alex's house earlier in the movie, searching for just stuff to sell at the pawn shop, when he fell into the basement and noticed that there were 17 missing children down there. Yeah, but unfortunately, this man is struggling with substance abuse problems, and so his mind isn't really currently with it. And so when he's at the pawn shop selling off all the items that he stole, he looks up to see the missing children's poster, but then he also sees the reward of $50,000, and he's like, oh, I would like some of that money, please. While he's going over to the cop station, Paul sees him, and he's like, oh, you were the guy I punched earlier in the movie and got that on footage, so what if I just arrested you and got you off the streets and away from everybody else? And protected my job because I'm a bad cop. Anyways, the unhoused man tells Paul about the children in the house. Paul is like, are you serious, dude? Okay, let's go check it out. Paul goes inside only to never come back out until late that night when he drags the unhoused man into the house. I would say maybe 30 minutes later, Justine and Archer pull up. So why are all these children in Alex's house? Let's go into this perspective and find out. Ooh, we jump way in the past, a few weeks before the children disappear, to see what's going on in Alex's life that has led to this chaotic situation that we find ourselves in. Despite being bullied in school by Archer's son, yeah, he has a pretty good life. His parents love him. He has a great relationship with them. But the only issue is that Aunt Gladys is coming to live with them. Oh. Not even her cunty microbangs can excite this family. They don't want a dying woman in their house. But the next day after school, Alex's dad isn't there. So Alex tightens up his backpack straps and he starts to walk the lonely road, the only road that he has ever known. Once he gets home, Alex walks into the house and he's like, okay, parents sitting at the dining table, what's going on? Why are you being weird? And Gladys walks out in her micro bang wig and is like, hey, I'm feeling so much better. And why is she feeling better? Because the spell that she cast onto the parents is essentially sucking out their life force and putting it into her, i.e. making her live longer. Do you see where this is going? She tells Alex that the parents aren't dead and that he's going to need to feed them soup and go to the grocery store and get soup because she does not have time for grocery shopping. She has to go sit in front of her little bonsai tree. And so not only is Alex now living in an abusive situation with his aunt, he is also responsible for keeping his parents alive. Yeah, that's cool. That's totally not gonna fuck him up long term. The problem is that the parents' life force is not enough to keep this old bag of bones alive. And she's like, oh, Alex, what if, and hear me out, you brought home the possessions of the 17 children in your class, and I made it into a spell, brought them here, and sucked out their life force. Thoughts, concerns, questions? Alex is like, if I do this, will you leave and get the hell out of my life? And she's like, yeah, totally. Alex agrees to this because he is like 7, and it's because he does believe what an adult tells him, because once again, he is a child. Now, beyond just feeding his parents, Alex has to feed the 17 children in his basement, including his school bully. This poor kid is going to be traumatized from the T to the D. Unfortunately, the situation of the unhoused man finding the 17 children, the cops showing up, and the likelihood that CPS is going to get called on this house is enough for Gladys to be like, we gotta pick up this roadshow and get it moving. In his room, Alex looks out the window to see Justine and Archer approaching his house. Ruh-roh. Is about to hit the fan, so buckle up, girlfriends. As they're approaching the house, the front door swings open and a very stiff Paul walks out and motions for them to come inside. They're having a Tupperware party and you are invited. As Justine and Archer cautiously step into the house, they're like, oh my god, why is there so much salt everywhere? As soon as they step over a salted line, Paul attacks Justine. He is possessed and he is choking her out. And Archer, same problem, but with the possessed unhoused man. They are fighting, they are tussling, and Archer and the unhoused man, who is possessed, fall through the basement door, and Archer sees all 17 children in the basement. Spooky. Upstairs, Alex decides that he is gonna risk it for the biscuit and also steps over the salted line, which gets his parents to lunge after him. He is running through the upstairs of the house. He runs from his bedroom into the Jack and Jill bathroom, and he is able to dip into the witch's room, which used to be the parents' room, but now it's just like belongs to her, her wigs, and a tree. You know how it is, girls. Alex decides that it is now or never. He will not be a child called It. He gets the supplies together of the stick, a wig, and a water bucket, and he's like, let's do this, girls. Downstairs, Justine is still getting choked out by Paul, but luckily she reaches down, grabs his gun, and shoots him in the head. Pour one out for Alden, the actor who plays Paul, but not for Paul, because we do not support the buffoonery of this cop. Once again, ACAB. Justine helps out Archer because, once again, they are friends, and shoots the unhoused man in the head. Pour one out for him. Honestly, I know we didn't talk about him much, but guys, he had the best storyline. He brought a lot of the laughs. Archer sees the children and he's like, my son, my son.
My child!
Oh, here he is.
Archer races down into the basement and he is looking at the children. He is flashing a phone light in their face going, are you my son? And as he's looking through all 17 children, he turns around and there's just a witch crouched down in the corner like this. I hope that was scary for you. The witch starts attacking Archer, but then she stops. She's realizing something's a little off. And you know what that something is? It's Alex. Over the past month and a half, he has paid attention, he has taken notes, and he is now a wizard because he is casting spells. Yes, he, she's, theys, and thems. Alex pulls himself together by his little book bag straps, and he snaps that stick. And all 17 children turn their attention to Aunt Gladys. Yeah, brother. Aunt Gladys is like, ruh-roh, and takes off running in the early morning hours. She is running through houses. She's running through lawns as 17 children break through windows and glass doors because they are dead set on killing her. They are chasing her down like it is the beginning of the Hunger Games and she is the cornucopia. But what happens when they get to her? I'll tell you, one child bodies her to the ground and then the children start clawing at her before they rip her limbs off and then grab her face and detach it from her jaw. Cinema. Archer finds Matthew, who is just soaked in blood, and is like, hey buddy, we gotta get out of here. He picks up his child and runs away into the early morning hours, putting an end to Archer's story. A concerned Justine goes upstairs to find Alex kneeled down in the ground, hugging his parents who are no longer in their spellbound state. However, the voiceover tells us that they have been so comatose and so messed up that they are unable to actually care for Alex, and he is sent off to go live with a real aunt in Florida, who I assume is not a witch. I hope we're actually doing background checks. Once is happenstance, twice is a coincidence, 3 times is hocus pocus. As for all of the 17 children who were now recovered, some of them started talking again, but a lot of them are still left in a state of shock. I do have a question for all those witches out there. What happens to a spell once the spellcaster is ripped apart like their pull apart bread? Like, I assume the spell is null and void, but like these children don't seem to like snap out of it. I also don't know like how this particular spell works, like if the consciousness returns after the stick is dropped into the water. It's a little unclear, a little fuzzy to me. But like I said, some of the children end up speaking again and everything seems okay. But the town is ready to move forward. They are ready to make a wish, make a change, and break away. The weapons. I spread my wings and I learned how to fly. This was a good movie. I'm gonna say it, truly one of the best movies of the year. I'm gonna put it right next to Sinners and 28 Days Later. Like, I felt alive watching this movie. I was electrified by how good the storytelling was. But what I love about Weapons is that every shot, every piece of dialogue, every camera movement has a purpose. And it feels like this should just be the standard of movie making. It's not. And you really don't get a solid movie like this all the time. And the fact that we got this after like a big blockbuster summer is like, it's everything to me. This is why I love movies. This is why I'm doing this. And what's really great about Creggers' storytelling is that the horror is just set up so well that you kind of are easily suspending your disbelief and you're just existing within these moments that like take you through a roller coaster of emotions. If the horror is spiking your emotions, the comedy is there to put you in this like state of security, of comfort, and tell you like, hey, it's okay. We're moving along now. It's easy for me to think of it as like the horror being the bouncer and the comedy being the cooler, i.e. Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse. I do feel like it's a bit unclear exactly why Aunt Gladys wanted to live forever, or like how she was stealing the youth from the people. I'm interpreting that she's stealing the youth. I feel like it's pretty easy to see it, obviously, because like she doesn't want to die. But like, why doesn't she want to die? And I think that's a big problem I have with like a lot of these characters, is that like I'm unclear exactly what their motivation is beyond like a paper thin like ideology. But does it really matter in the grand scheme of the plot? Not really. I would love to see how their motivation helps build the relationships beyond them being like, you saved my life, we're now best friends. But it's easy to understand why these characters are moving from plot point to plot point, and honestly, I kind of believe it. That said, Justine and Archer are like truly the main characters who are like built out the most. They're so well-rounded that they're actually really awesome to root for. I also just want to highlight like the surrealism in this film. I want to call this like evening horror. It's not quite fully night always, and it's not always like a day horror, but it's like an evening horror, which is like, ooh, it's like such a vibe that is so suburban. It's like dipping into the surrealism of the suburban world of like something's always just slightly off kilter. Weapons is definitely one of those movies that you want to watch with other people. Like, it really makes the experience something memorable, in like the same way that watching A Quiet Place in the theater was like, whew, such a moment in time. And so I highly recommend you go and check this movie out if you can. With all this said, I'm gonna give Weapons a grade of an A-. I know, shock. I give it an A- because it's not like a perfect movie. I'm still left with lingering questions. I do feel like a lot of the imagery was just imagery, and I'm not exactly sure what some of the themes Creggers was picking at really are. And I don't think he's really sure of them either, because he's not telling anybody. And I feel like that's like a double-edged sword. It's like either you don't know, or like the vibes are just immaculate and you're trusting that that's enough to satisfy an audience's insatiable hunger. Call me Galactus, I want to know what the theme is. I feel like if just Aunt Gladys's bit was wrapped up a bit more tightly, this would make it an A movie. Unfortunately, it's just shy of like a perfect grade. But like I said, this movie really delivers on its promise, and I stand with that shit. But let me know what you think of Weapons. How was your experience watching this movie? Did you do little jazz hands like I did? Speaking of jazz hands, follow me over on Letterboxd, TikTok, Instagram. As always, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You made it all the way to the end, you little freak. Come on. I want to spend more time with you in the future. Straight up. But until next time, go and support your local movie theaters, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.